welcome to a Thanksgiving week episode of the Throwing Bagels Podcast. It's look at the cat. It's tomorrow. If you're listening to this when our podcast drops, it's tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day. Hard to believe that. Kevin Mooney here, Chris Douglas, Jason Hamo with me as well. Hey guys,
what's up?
Hello there. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I can't complain.
It's the longest short week of the calendar year, I think, at work, right? That's
Isn't it? Like today, like earlier Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
It's probably the least productive
Yeah.
day for any employer, right? It's got to be that.
On Wednesday, the Wednesday before
be.
Thanksgiving. That's got to. I mean, it ranks up there.
And
It's up
Christmas
there.
Eve, probably, right?
Christmas
I
Eve.
would think.
The
New
Monday.
New Year's Eve is by
New Year's
far
Eve.
the most unproductive day of the year.
That might be.
Is it?
Yeah, because you got to remember, most people are already half your company's off. So like, there's
Yeah.
probably like 5 people in the office, right? And then like, you're one of the dummies who didn't take off that day. So then you're just sitting there,
This is very true. But you know what? We have another spectacular guest here on this edition of the Throwing Bagels podcast. And it's our sincere pleasure to welcome in the chair, actually, of the Radio and Audio Media Division of the Broadcast Education Association, as well as faculty advisor with 88.9 FM, WNYO, of course, the student radio station at SUNY Oswego. And on top of that, associate professor of the Department of Communication Studies at the College of Communication, Media, and Arts at SUNY Oswego. It's David Crider. Hey, David, thank you so much for being with us.
Wow, that was quite an introduction.
Well,
we're big on the introductions here.
We are. Want to make sure we get it right. But thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And I know we worked with you, the three of us, worked with you a lot when it came to the WNYO alumni takeover, or it was to raise funds for WNYO for their general operations. And David, now it's a month has gone by. You've kind of run the numbers a little bit with the students. So how did that fundraiser go?
Well, it went extremely well. We were very, very happy with how much was donated, not just to fill the 6 hours that we had set aside on that particular Saturday afternoon, but there were a lot of people who couldn't make it or wanted to do something more. And so they kicked in for sponsored hours elsewhere in the school year. So that was fantastic. Kind of had an overflow effect that we definitely welcomed. So the total pledged amount came out to $1,250, which is
Nice.
fantastic.
That's very nice.
Above and beyond what we were probably expecting when we put this idea into motion. So we're very, very grateful to all the alums who pledged their money to us. So for those who bought sponsored hours, we are working to schedule those the week after break. So this next week coming up, and we'll let everybody know specifically which hour you've been given. So you can get a recording of your hour and get to hear your name shouted out as an awesome alum who helped out the station.
That's really awesome, actually. So is this going to be an annual thing? Like, I think we would like it to be an annual thing. We'd like to get up there and do it again, but can we do that? Or is that just something that's just going to kind of be a one and done?
Well, I'd love to do it more often. I think part of the complication of it is that we only do the alumni dinner every 3 years. So getting everybody up at one time to Oswego can be a little bit difficult, but we're always open to doing something like this again more often. I know that in the summers when they have reunion weekends, it's easier for people to be there, but the students aren't there. And that's kind of what's kept us from wanting to
Yeah.
do something like this during the summers in the past. But I don't see why we couldn't do that during a summer reunion weekend when there's likely to be more people around.
Was there ever thought of, because it was so popular, is there thought about making it longer next time, giving more opportunity? So extending, you said it was 6 hours this time, making maybe 8 hours or a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think it all fits in with whatever the schedule will be like for that day, making sure that we don't necessarily step on toes of any other events that are planned for that day.
Yeah.
But as long as there's demand and we know that people are going to be around, we're certainly open to freeing up more of the schedule as we're able to.
Because Kevin would like to buy more blocks and do a whole long Genesis marathon. So
Kevin, I do appreciate that during your hour, you just chose not to just play Suppers Ready for half of your
I
scheduled
could have.
hour.
That, you're the excellent point, David, because I literally could have picked. Because all right, so when I did the marathon, NYO said you can't do more than 4 songs from the same artist in any 1 hour because of streaming rules. So I'm like, all right, well, I could literally pick 4 Genesis songs to put an hour together, and that's it. Like Supper's Ready, which is about 23 minutes. And then there's a couple of other 15-minute
That's
songs
crazy.
in there. Yeah. So,
I mean,
might as well play American Pie while you're at it too.
honestly.
why not?
Shine on you crazy diamond. Just throw all the Pink Floyd stuff in there too. You may as well.
No, yeah. Hey, look, the more hours, the better. So I'll have to prepare. I'll come prepared next time.
We could do a 2-hour Throwing Bagels podcast then.
There you go.
Let's get. And you know what? That's funny because we kind of had to do a crash course, but we saw the difference firsthand between doing a radio show and having to hit the post versus doing a podcast where it's like, oh, it just happens whenever,
Yeah, but how much of that was muscle memory and how much of that came back to you pretty quickly?
Yeah, pretty quickly, to be honest. It was like, all right, this button does this. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Problem is we're just not used to also the technology of today's radio station.
Like way different.
Yeah.
So different.
Dragging and dropping music into certain spots and ads, ads and things like that. Like that wasn't our thing. We, as I'm sure where, we played carts back in the day, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yep.
we had to push the cart and make sure it played and hope it actually did play, at the time when we hit the button.
Oh yes, definitely remember those days. And now when I have a cart that I use as visual aid for my students, who of course I will hold this thing up and they will have no idea what this cartridge is that I'm holding in my hand. And they are completely blown away by the fact that yes, this is what we used to play everything off of in a radio
Yeah.
station. And Kevin knows from his time at SYR, we had an entire back wall that was
Yes.
full of cart racks.
It's crazy. And I was trying to explain, I don't know if it was at the at the radio or I was talking to someone else, but I was trying to explain what carts were to someone recently. And I was like, I tried to explain it as like an 8-track to like an 8-track.
That didn't
tape.
help.
That didn't help
No.
either. But I was like, they're like, what's an 8-track? So I was like, well, that went bad. So what did the NYO board members think of the experience? Did they enjoy it?
Yeah, they were super happy with this, especially Kai, who got to spend the whole day with everybody running the board and such. So they were very happy about getting to spend the time with alums and getting that chance to network. And wound up being quite a long day for them. Kai came up to me about halfway through the alumni dinner and was like, "All right, I've enjoyed this day. It's fantastic. I need to go home and get some sleep."
Who could? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
of
I
course.
mean,
But
Kai
everybody was
was
grateful for the opportunity to meet Dana Murphy and Dee Perkins and to work with so many people who were involved in putting this together. And yeah, it's been a fantastic experience for everyone. Our students love the chance to meet alumni and to share stories and to hear all the old stories and to just feel like they're the latest in this long line of people who have come through that radio station. There's definitely a bond that unites everybody.
David, you are a professor at Oswego, so you've got plenty of courses this fall, and there's a couple that really jumped out of my mind because I think all 3 of us here on Throwing Bagels, I think we took them. But of course, BRC 200, right? The social history of American radio and TV. I bet my wife in that course, by the way.
Oh, wow.
And and then BRC 319, of course, the media law class, which
I
we
have
all
nightmares
took.
about that class still.
The worst. Me too.
That was we all took it with Fritz Messier.
Ugh.
So at BRC 305 media management, you teach that as well in this semester. So these courses we all took 25 plus years ago. So, David, what's the curriculum of those courses now, given the changes that have taken place over the last 25 years?
Well, taking from the point of view of the history class, for one thing, it's a class that I'm teaching online currently. So it's a little bit different in trying to deliver all the content to people. You have to make sure that what you can find is free and legal for everybody to watch in whatever form that you can get it to people. But I still try to make sure that everybody can see a pretty good compilation of things that they need to know, important moments in television, important moments in radio, and the fact that sometimes some of our online students are a little bit older, but for the most part, they're all around the same age. And so you are discussing things that, of course, happened within your lifetime. And so I guess that's how the class is different, right? Is that we've now lived through 25 more years of media history that our students have not. And
Yeah.
It's
so
crazy.
That is so wild.
That's- I
I'm
feel
going
way
through
older
a
now than I
grading-
just
I
did
mean,
2 seconds ago.
You put it that way, right?
I'm going through and grading discussion posts about the real world.
Uh,
And like there was
Wow.
nothing historic about the real world when I was watching it on MTV. Come on. And now, of course, with the benefit of hindsight, it's like,
Sure.
oh, yeah, that was an important TV show, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean that was probably the I guess could we say like the first real reality show? It would,
The first one to
right?
get a large audience, yes.
Yeah, that would, and then they had Road Rules, and then they combined them
Road
and
Rules.
made the
Oh,
challenge, the
so good.
Road Rules challenge. Those were some
So
crazy
good.
shows,
and then Survivor came along.
Yep.
right?
Yeah, that the really changed. Like, really, reality TV was like one of the big developments in media over this century so far. Yeah.
Yeah. And so in these last couple of weeks of the class, you find yourself really feeling old because you're talking about things that you knew from your own lifetime
Right.
and teaching it to students who have no memory of it. And you're trying not to let it come off with all of the when I was your age,
Right.
off my lawn and all of that. But students do tend to see, like when you make a remark about how Nickelodeon was so much different in its early days and how MTV, obviously, when they played music videos, had a completely different vibe to it. And the students kind of recognize that because they have what they see today for comparison. So they watch the old stuff and then they say, oh, yeah, we totally see where it was so much more do it yourself, no rules, we're making it up as we go along. And now everything is so professionalized and corporate, and it's just not the same. And so they definitely do understand that. But at the same time, you can't help but feel like you just want to say things were so much better when I was your age. Have to resist that urge. You brought up the law class. Well, I guess again, technology, because you guys didn't have to worry about what does social media
Yeah.
have to do with the law
Right.
and how people can be sued for, well, I don't know what we call it now that it's X, but we used to call it Twibel for Twitter libel, where someone could actually prove that, yes, you can defame someone and get sued for it in 140 characters or less. And now we're talking about AI and the implications that artificial intelligence and AI created content can have for copyright laws. And so I think that's really how the class has changed, is just trying to make the material as topical and as relevant as the day's headlines. And you really get into a lot of things that just could not have been foreseen 25 years ago.
That is so wild. I'm just thinking about all the stuff that like we had to worry about versus what, the current curriculum is, it's so
Well, we didn't have
wildly
social
different.
media.
There
Right?
was
Social
no,
media
like,
itself.
we barely had cell phones.
Yeah, we
you
didn't.
know?
Cell phones didn't really come out until like the 2000. Really, I think that was like 1999, maybe, like right
Yeah.
around there. It was
About that. Yeah.
like the real like that weren't like block cell phones, those huge like
Right,
Zach Morris type
right.
cell phones,
And
Like-
yeah, David's so right. Like it's just like it's almost like a bygone era, right? I mean, it's it's so wildly different now. So David, we're hearing that you're working on a book about countdowns that's tentatively called Countdown Culture. and why countdowns are so popular. I especially love
Yeah.
countdowns here on the Throwing Bagels podcast. So what led you to dive into the topic like that?
Well, first of all, let's just face it, everybody loves a good list. We
Yes.
all love to argue about lists. Someone
Hmm.
throws out a list. I was on Blue Sky earlier today, and I guess there's a thing going around about name your greatest sci-fi movies of all time or something like that. And everyone's joking because Governor Pritzker of Illinois, I guess, gave his list, and the joke was, well, now you know what happens when geeks see a list that they don't agree with. So I guess when it comes to music, it's music geeks, right? So whether it's following the countdown every week, which a lot of people did, um, back in the day, the heritage days of American Top 40, that's what people did. And so many people who followed the charts, the Billboard charts and American Top 40 from week to week. And either they went on to work in the industry or they became rock stars. Elton John prominently has said in his book that he was a stats nerd when it came to following the charts before he even decided to become a professional musician. He just followed them um, because he liked it. He obsessed over it. So we kind of all have that chip where we like to follow how our favorite songs are doing. And then beyond that, it's kind of branched out into this idea of the all-time list and what do we rank as the greatest songs of all time, and how do we decide what music is the canon for all of recent history, or whether it's just for our generation. And that's where a lot of the debates come up and a lot of the disputes come up, and especially in this era of social media that we just brought up. In social media, you throw a list out, and especially you throw that list out in countdown form, and it's fun to follow along, but you're also more and more going to have people pushing back and saying, well, why is this list so heavily weighted towards this type of music or these types of singers or something like that? And so I think there's a lot to be explored there. And I kind of came into it by being a fan of the year-end countdowns that WXPN down in Philadelphia does every single year. And so I became a big fan because I went to Temple University for my doctorate. And so I lived down there and became a big fan of XPN and listening to their countdowns every year. And over the years, it became more and more of an event. And along with being an event and getting all that attention, you get that subtle dig and pushback. And so that really fascinated me.
The when we were talking about MTV and things like that, and the 90s and whatever, TRL comes to mind, right? That was like a
Yes.
huge countdown, back in, when we were in college, basically, right? It was, the show, they did all the videos and everything like that for all the music. But as well as I like listening to Sirius in the on like Sunday mornings, because if you listen to like the 90s station or the 80s station, they do like Downtown Julie Brown does like a 90s countdown for
Ah,
certain years every Sunday. And it's like when I was thinking, you're like, oh, I'm listening to figure out which songs are going to be like in the top 20. So, it's it's like everyone loves a good countdown.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what kind of keeps the interest in it after all these years is now there's the nostalgia about it where we go back and we can relive not only the songs that we remember, but the songs we forgot. Like the song
Oh
that
yeah.
comes in at number 25 one week and it's maybe not the biggest hit from that artist, but you're like, oh my God, I totally forgot about that song. I loved that song. Why didn't
Yep.
anybody else?
You mentioned like America Top 40. What is the first countdown to really gain popularity? Is it the America's Top 40, or is it something before that?
Well, it goes all the way back to radio with a show called Your Hit Parade. And this was on during the 1940s, thereabouts into the 50s. And it was a super popular show on radio that was, as all the shows were sponsored back then, a lot of them by cigarette companies. So Lucky Strike presents Your Hit Parade.
Nice.
And it was the first kind of countdown show that gave people this interest in continuing to listen because they would there was that drama involved, that yet to be revealed of what is going to be the number one song this week. It was different from what we got used to hearing in later years because all of the songs were performed by a cast of singers on the show. So it was not playing records. Playing records on the radio was frowned upon in radio's early days. It was seen as beneath the professional standards. So what they would do is they would take the most popular songs and then have the Your Hit Parade singers perform them. And it did continue into television for some time. Rock and roll is ultimately what killed the show, because people didn't want to hear the Your Hit Parade singers singing Johnny Be Good by Chuck Berry. They wanted to see Chuck Berry perform Johnny Be Good by Chuck Berry.
It was almost like because vinyl made music more accessible, that's what people wanted to hear. They wanted to hear the original versions.
Yeah, exactly. And they were so used to hearing it on radio by that point because you had a lot of stations that were switching over to music with all the network shows going to television. So, yeah.
And who would you say would be kind of like the biggest host of, of a, I mean, Casey Kasem obviously comes to mind first, and for me, but like who do you think is considered like maybe the father of countdowns, or just the biggest, countdown host of all time?
I think it's definitely Casey, and it is because he had the great idea of taking what was already successful on a local level and nationalizing it. Um, Top 40 stations, a lot of them did this sort of thing in your local hometowns because they surveyed the record stores. And so they were always trying to find out what exactly were the top hits in Seattle or Boston or New York this week. And they would reveal them to the listeners. And even when just introducing songs just randomly through the week, it would be, hey, here's Paul McCartney with the #7 song this week. And so it would just be like a nice little reminder to people as they were listening of the relative popularity of songs. And what Casey did is he noticed that and he said, I'd love to do something like that on a national level. And he had the pull and he had the connections to make it happen. And the show, when they launched it in 1970, it was on a wing and a prayer. They had 7 affiliates, but it took off like wildfire. I think they had something like 400 affiliates within 4 years. So it just very quickly became this nationwide ritual, something that you did on Sunday mornings. And a lot of the people that I interviewed for this book would say that this is what we did on Sunday mornings. And if you had to go to church, well, you hoped it was a quick service so you could get out the door in time to hear the top 2 or 3 songs. And that was just a part of it was a shared American experience, which we don't really have these days in your mass media.
Did David Letterman's top 10 like kind of did it really allow people to kind of think, oh, we can apply this to areas outside of music?
I think Letterman, what he was doing was really just trying to make fun of everything that he saw in established media. If you ever hear, and the recordings exist, you can probably do a quick Google or YouTube search and find them. There's recordings of David Letterman as a college DJ or starting out as a young radio personality or TV weatherman. And that's basically what he was doing. He was making fun of all the conventions of the media. And I think that top 10 list was a big part of it. And also, not to go too far astray, but when he got his show on NBC, what few people don't realize is that Johnny Carson gave Letterman an edict and said, you can't do anything that I do. So you can't go stepping on my toes. I'm the king of late night. So if you want to do monologue, well, don't do it like me. And you can't do the comedy sketches like I do. And you can't interview the frontline guests that I get. And so Letterman kind of had to make this up on the fly. And so he said, okay, I'm just going to do stunts. So that's where stuff like stupid human tricks and stupid pet tricks and
Will
top
It
10
Float?
lists
Will It
and
Float was one of the best.
Will It Float, dropping things off a 5-story building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was awesome.
It was great. It's great television.
Where are you in terms of completing this book? How far along is it?
I'd say it's about 75-80% written. It's under contract and hoping to have it done early next year.
Okay.
As a professor, I have a lot more on my plate than I
Sure.
sometimes give myself credit for, and so that can slow down the writing process. But the research is all done. It's just a matter of writing it all up. And so that's kind of the toughest part because I've got notes scattered to the 4 winds throughout my hard drive, and it's just a matter of trying to figure out what goes where, write it all up, make it all make sense.
Mhm.
So, and there was one point where I'm like, how am I going to get 300 pages out of this? And the other day I was looking at how far I'd come and I said, whoa, this is going way beyond 300 pages. Okay.
Do you have a deadline? Did the publishing company give you a deadline or?
They did. We quickly recognized it was not realistic and we had it pushed back. So now I've got some breathing space.
You've published plenty of academic papers in your career. Is this your first book?
Actually, I had my doctoral dissertation turned into a book.
Okay. Oh,
So I put that out 2016, and it was definitely much more of a highfalutin academic eggheady book, as a doctoral dissertation tends to be. So it doesn't really surprise me that nobody bought it. So the bar is very low for this book, suffice to say.
What was it on? What was your dissertation on?
My dissertation was on how on-air personalities present a version of themselves on the air for public consumption. And it's very much stage managed and it's deliberate. And what you may see behind the scenes may completely be out of step with what you envision this person being. But it creates this whole idea of they're just like us, but they're better. I'd like to hang out with this person. They're so cool. And at the same time, it kind of gives us all this false sense of, well, anybody could do their job.
Right. And then they're never, and then when you meet them, you're like, wow, that person was not what I expected them to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
was that pretty widespread, David, as far as the divergence between on-air and off-air personalities?
I think it really came down to how public you want to make yourself.
True.
Because the larger your
Yeah.
audience and the more impact you have with people, I think there's that fear there. You don't want to be out there too much because you want to have a life outside of being on the air and outside of this public persona. And so some people are very guarded about that. And
Mhm.
other people, they're like this on the air because they know it works. And that's not who they are in real life. The perception might be that, oh my God, you guys must go to concerts and just have a blast like 24/7. And I talk to DJs who were like, dude, nobody can do that. That's physically impossible, especially once you've put in 15, 20 years of this. So it's very much this is the me that you get for 4 hours a day. And I might be like that if you met me in everyday life, and I might not be because I'm really putting all of myself or this managed self into the 4 hours that I'm on the air. And it's with the intent of getting you to listen and getting you to keep listening.
And people get mad if you're not that person off the air. You know, if they meet you and you're not that like you're supposed to be like some crazy person when you're on the air and then like you're off the air and you're just, normal Joe Blow and they're like, "Why are you not being crazy right now?"
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure stand-up comedians get that all the time.
Oh, totally.
Oh yeah,
All the
yeah,
time.
definitely.
Oh,
No
yeah,
question.
100%.
God, you're so boring in person.
Right.
Why are you
Jeez.
not making me laugh right now?
Why are you so normal? Like what the hell?
So, David, you went to undergrad broadcasting major, Susquehanna?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of led you to develop an interest in pursuing a career in radio?
Well, for me, I just had a fascination with it from a young age.
Mhm.
And I always thought that the people on the radio were having so much fun. And I loved listening to those upbeat types of morning shows where everyone was having a great time and making jokes and making fun of stuff and not afraid to bust each other's chops. And then, especially, I think the turning point for me, I always knew I wanted to have some kind of a career in radio, not in radio, but in media, but I wasn't sure what until I discovered a nationally syndicated kind of shock jockey show in the 90s that was called The Don and Mike Show. And listening to them and this huge cast of people and the fact that it seemed like they could get away with making fun of anything and everything, I just said, "Oh yeah, that's the life. That is what I want. I want to have a life like that." And that's what really pushed me into getting into radio. And I had a very good opportunity at a young age because where I grew up outside of Syracuse, we had Syracuse University's student run station that during the summers would be down to a skeleton crew because most of the students would go home for the summer, but they would bring in high school students to kind of fill in the gaps.
Mhm.
And so that was my entry into radio. I was 16 years old, getting in front of a microphone and learning how to do everything. So I think that really just, I was sold. That's what I wanted to do for a career. And had it not been for circumstances in the business and things that happened along the way, who knows, that may have been where I wound up staying for my career. But, you know, things change.
Did you want to go to Syracuse, or did you purposely like not want to stay, at home, and you wanted to go? That's why you ended up, at Susquehanna.
I thought back and forth about it because I actually applied to three schools. I applied to Syracuse, to Susquehanna, and to Oswego. I got into all
There we go.
three. Syracuse, like they give you like the red carpet treatment. Like they bring you in for open house and they put your name on the Carrier Dome scoreboard and all that, which is okay, that's cool. But I kind of had this sense of I didn't want to go to such a large school. And while I recognize that, well, Newhouse is the end all be all, I also had firsthand experience of being around people at Z89 of what Newhouse students were like. And that's not to speak ill of a lot of my former colleagues because they're great people and I get to see them at our alumni event every year. And there are a lot of people who believe the second they set foot on that campus, they've got it made. And I didn't want that to be me. So I felt a lot closer connection at Susquehanna because it was a school that was about the same size as my high school. So it was a small college and it was in a small town. And I kind of liked that as opposed to my growing up in suburbia. So that's really what cinched the decision for me.
What happened to Oswego? Oswego fell number three on the list.
I had already had my visit at Susquehanna, and I was really just, I was pretty much already leaning that way, but I went and did the campus visit to Oswego.
Mhm.
They chose a bad day to have me up there.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
so I was up there on one of those days where I left Syracuse and it was going to be 70, 72 degrees, and I got to campus and it was like 60 and the wind was whipping off the lake. And I just said, this is not
Man,
the kind of April weather I want to go to school in.
60 and windy is nothing. That's actually
That's,
that's
I
actually
mean,
mild and nice.
right? Yeah, right.
Being a Central New Yorker, of course, I learned to adapt when I moved back here.
Yeah,
So
of course.
Well, the winters
So,
in Pennsylvania aren't that much better, I feel like, right?
more ice than snow.
okay.
That's the
yeah.
issue. Especially in my professional career. I worked in radio in central Pennsylvania for several years, and we had an ice storm take out our transmitter one year.
Wow.
So it, it's not fooling around with the weather that
Yeah.
you can get down there. You may not get 2 feet of snow all the time, but it could still be pretty bad.
So then what prompted you to get into teaching?
Part of it was not by choice. I like to tell my students that I was fortunate enough that I was promoted through the ranks pretty early in my career, and that I eventually, when I was pretty young age, like 23, I got promoted to an assistant program director. And when I was 24, I got promoted to being a program director. And I was moderately successful at that, and then I wasn't. So at 25, I got promoted to unemployment. And so there was that sense of I could keep doing this and I could keep going around the carousel and trying to find jobs. And having program director on your resume sometimes scares people, makes them think that I don't want to hire this person who just wants to be a DJ because I might be hiring my replacement. And I just didn't want to play the games anymore. So I felt, how can I take what I know and what I love and make it work for me in a different way? And I guess I learned I was not the lifer I was meant to be when it came to actually being in the media. And I felt I would be a lot better off teaching it. And as I went through grad school, I also learned that, hey, a lot of those questions that I had when I was a DJ and when I was running a station, those questions that I didn't get really good answers for, well, now I can answer them in the name of academic research. So, okay, I like that.
You went to Syracuse for your master's degree, right? At what point did you start to think about teaching? Was it getting your master's at Syracuse at that point?
Yeah, I decided that I wanted to give this a shot. And if I was going to go to grad school, I was going to go all the way through a doctorate. So when I got in at Syracuse, that's where I really learned everything that went into a future career in academia. The media studies master's program at Newhouse, it's very much a pre-doctoral, kind of like if you're going in for pre-law or pre-med someplace else. This is a program that is going to teach you, okay, if you want to go on and be a doctoral student, well, this is the life. This is what it's going to be like. Do you want to do this? And I found that I did. Also having the opportunity to be a TA while I was there and getting to teach some classes and getting that experience was really helpful. And so that, yeah, that really is the experience at Newhouse is really what sold me on, okay, I want to go all the way with this and get my doctorate and be a media professor. And I was fortunate enough to get accepted to Temple University to go down and do that in a very fantastic program down there in Philadelphia. And those 5 years in Philly were very eye-opening. I learned a
Mm.
lot about life and I learned a lot about people in those 5 years. And I think that really shaped the professor I became.
And I assume you taught classes also while you were getting your going for your doctorate.
Yeah, so I TA'd some classes, radio mostly, and eventually got my own classes as an adjunct professor. And I got to work with students who are very not unlike the Oswego students. So Temple has historically been a commuter school. It's very focused on Philadelphia. Not a lot of the people who go to that university traditionally come from outside the area. It's very much focusing on the students from the Philadelphia area. And so while a lot of them live on campus, a lot of them don't. And you kind of have that same mix at Oswego. You get a lot of the students who live on campus and then a lot who come in from Syracuse or close by, and they're working a job in addition to going to college. And it was very similar at Temple as well. A lot of students at Temple did not come from means, and it's the same way at Oswego. And there's that hustle mentality that I saw at Temple that you see with the students at Oswego. They're willing to work hard to get to where they want to get because they are so driven by what they're passionate about. And that I can work with. That is so easy to work with. You come into my classroom and I can tell that you want to learn and you want to use what you're going to learn in this class to move towards a career in something that you are passionate about. I can work with that all day long.
So how did you wind up at Oswego teaching?
Well, this one was kind of by necessity because I met my wife and she was living up here. We were actually, long story short, we've been friends for a few years prior to us actually getting together, but she lived up here and I was down in Philadelphia. And so we recognize long distance is not a good long-term relationship strategy. And if we're going to make this work, I better move back to Central New York. And so I did without a job. So here is where our old friend Fritz Masser comes into play because Fritz attends the BEA convention every year in Las Vegas, and so was I as a grad student. So I pretty much ran into him one day at the conference and I gave him the elevator pitch and I said, "Hey, I'm moving up to Central New York and I don't have a job and I'm about to get engaged. Can you help me out?" And between him and Jen Knapp, who of course is now the dean of CMA, they were able to find a space for me as an adjunct, get my foot in the door at Oswego, for which I will be forever grateful. And so that kind of started me on this 11 plus year journey to where I am now as a tenured professor.
Do you miss radio at all? Do you just you at this point you're just like I just love teaching?
I do sometimes. Stop me if this has happened to you. I do still have the nightmares every so often that the song is ending and I don't have the next thing to play and I don't know what I'm going to say on the air. Like, you've had the nightmare, haven't you? All these years later, it's still happening. But that being said, I do love teaching, and I kind of like that have a foot in both worlds being the advisor at WNYO because 2 hours a week I'm sitting there in that radio station office. And typically this semester, there's a lot of e-board members in there with us. And so we're talking about things going on with the station. And we're also just hanging out and I love that atmosphere. And our music director's on the air doing his show at that hour. So if he says something and is like wondering about a fact about a song he just played, I'll wait till he gets off the air, pop down the hallway, stick my head in the studio and say, "Did you know Bruce Springsteen covered that song?" or something like that. So I got the
Do you
best
have
of
a,
both worlds.
do you have a jump on the air with them?
Every so often. I certainly do during Radiothon every year, which is the 24-hour event that we do to raise money for Oswego County Opportunities. We do that at the end of the spring semester every year. And so I typically jump on for an hour to help the cause each year. And that's fun, just being on mic. And again, just having that live, that's the energy. It's being on live, not knowing what's going to happen from 1 minute to the next. That is the one thing that I miss, if anything, about being on the air.
You just said that you actually go to the radio station and you're there, would you say twice a week or for a couple hours?
Yeah, every Wednesday morning for a couple hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can probably speak for Kevin and Chris when I say this. Like, I don't even know who our professor was when we were in school that was supposed to be like the person who kind of oversaw the radio station or was our, I guess, so I find it very interesting and that that you're there a lot and you sit in and you talk to the students and things like that. Like I don't think we ever had anything like that when we were in school. At least I don't remember that.
I'm tempted to say that Peter Hunn may have been
Was he?
he may have been like an advisor
Okay.
to NY, maybe, but
Maybe.
I
Yeah.
can't really remember.
Yeah. I have no idea.
Of
I'm
course,
sure
Peter.
I'm sure someone that
Yeah.
that may listen to our podcast from back then might know. Where's Dana? She might know.
Yeah, she might know. But Peter Hahn was busy with WZZZ.
That's right.
Z.
But yeah, I find it very interesting that you spend, so much time there with the students. I think it's great. I think it's totally helpful for them, for to have someone there that they can talk to, bounce
Mm.
ideas off of if they feel like it, or you can feed them fun facts. Yeah, like you just mentioned.
I think it's a lot more effective, and I think it makes for a better organization if you can just show them that you're there, because it's one thing to be in your office in a completely different building, and it's another thing to just show them that you're there, you're present. And that's something that I've learned from going to enough conventions and being around other student media advisors and learning from them and what works and what's effective for them. And so, yeah, if you find a way to balance it out where you show them that you're there and like you said, Jason, bouncing ideas off of you, because I have a policy that is very rarely, if you have an idea, will I say no, unless it's going to like jeopardize the license or something like that. Then I might have an issue with it. But instead, my response, if you have an idea, is okay, let's workshop this. How can we make this work? And that's kind of been my philosophy of advising the station all these years. And the more that students recognize that that's how we do things and that it's kind of part and parcel of this 99% creative freedom that you have in a college radio atmosphere, I think that really helps our students develop a love for not only radio, but just media in general, because they're actually doing things that will benefit a media organization. They're not just coming in, doing their hour in front of the microphone and leaving. They're actually involved. And I think that, yeah, we've seen a lot more cohesiveness from the
Mhm.
staff since I started being more present in the station. So I love the time that I spend over there.
So the radio station is obviously in the campus center, and you recently attended your first hockey game at the Deborah Stanley rink in the campus center. What was
Only
that
took 11
experience like?
years.
It's all right, first time. All right, so you made it. You finally made it. What was your experience like at the game?
Oh, it was great. I definitely felt bad that it took so many years for me to get up there. I live in Liverpool. It's a 45-minute drive. And so yes, during the winter months, it is a little tough to drag me out the door for a 90-minute round trip. But I figured I want to go see what all the fuss is about. And so I love the atmosphere. I love that the traditions that are involved. Um, and being around college sports, especially at the Division 3 level, there's something just so authentic about it. And especially what we see compared to what D1 sports have become, I think that there's something more real and approachable
Mm.
about something like Oswego hockey. And that's really what the appeal is that you can go there with your colleagues and have a good time and recognize that the students are doing this for the love of the game. And the meanwhile you're surrounded by a very involved student body and your own students who are doing the radio and TV broadcasts, and you get to see what they're doing. It's pretty exciting. I will definitely be coming back.
That's
Are
excellent
you a
news.
hockey fan? Do you like hockey?
Let me preface this by saying I am a hockey fan. Apparently, I'm not a fan of good hockey lately because I like the Buffalo Sabres.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, that's been a long
Sorry
time.
about that. Yeah, not that we have a leg to stand down with the Rangers.
Yeah, I
Good
know.
Lord.
No.
Oof. So we appreciate your time, David. And before we get you out of here, in the spirit of countdowns, we would love to know, before we wrap up, your top 5 favorite Thanksgiving foods.
Okay, I was wondering
5
about
to
that.
1.
5-1.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Well, I'm probably going to shock some people with this. Um, Number 5 is going to be the pumpkin pie.
Ooh, good choice. Good choice.
And I'm sure a lot of people think it should be higher up, but I've never been a fan of pumpkin spice all the things. So I just kind of feel like, okay, pumpkin's good, but like there are other pies that can beat this. So pumpkin pie definitely comes in at 5. Fourth, I would definitely say the turkey, unless it's done very well. Because turkey, you never know with turkey. Turkey could be a
Yeah.
crapshoot.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't try it
So
out.
Yeah.
Can't try it out.
yeah, exactly. So just because of that unknown factor, you put the turkey in at number 4. Number 3, got to go with mashed potatoes.
Of course.
Ooh, I'd go
Yes.
higher with that
Class.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe.
Mashed
Maybe.
potatoes are they're very easy to make.
Do you go skin on or do you peel?
No, skin on.
Oh,
No way. For mashed potatoes?
I don't even do that. I do it out of a box.
Too much work.
You're asking me to put work into this?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Who makes
Okay,
skin on mashed potatoes? That's just crazy
What
talk.
do you mean?
No way.
All right, we'll talk about this later.
Okay.
Now, number two is a conditional situation. Number 2, you have to be at a Thanksgiving gathering, like when I was growing up, where you knew that that the family was going to make more than one pie. So the number 2 spot goes to that second pie that is not pumpkin, because that's when you get something really good, like a really well-made apple pie, a really well-made berry pie, or a pecan pie, or something like that.
Mm,
Pecan.
That is,
Yes.
that's clutch. So
All right.
that can come in
All
at
right.
number 2 if it is done very, very well.
All right, number 1.
Stuffing.
Oh,
down.
All right. Chris hates
Oh,
stuffing.
no.
I love stuffing. I love
Stuffing could be the whole meal for me.
Oh,
if
stuffing
you
is so
had-
good.
No, gross.
Stuffing
gross.
is
Get
so
out of
good.
here. The stuffing's
I would put the mashed potatoes above the stuffing, but stuffing is very high on my list.
I'm so happy you didn't say like green bean casserole with the
Oh no, if
stupid
you'd asked me
onion
to give
things
the
on
bottom
top.
5, anything
That's
with green beans in it,
Absolutely bottom 5, 100%.
which drives my wife crazy because she loves green beans.
Green
That's
beans
funny.
are fine for people, but they're not like,
On their own.
yeah, I
Green
mean,
beans
people
on
like
their
them,
own.
right? I mean, I don't eat them, but that's beside the point. But I mean, I wouldn't. They're not in the top 5 food for Thanksgiving. Not even close.
Agreed.
David, thank you so much for joining us. This was a blast, and I know we will keep in touch, and we're gonna monitor. We're gonna watch out for booking the pre-order
Yes, for sure.
for your book Countdown Culture when it comes out. So thank you so much for being with us, and all the best to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having
We'll
me.
have to have you
Thanks,
on
David.
after the book comes out.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
And that was the associate professor at the Department of Communication Studies at SUNY Oswego, faculty advisor for WNYO, David Crider, PhD. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, awesome.
For joining us. That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. Do we have controversy, by the way? Like mashed potatoes, skin on, skin off for mashed potatoes?
You don't do skin on and mashed potatoes. You can eat a
Why
baked
not?
potato, but you don't or on French fries. Yeah,
I typically
sure.
I don't include the skin when I'm doing mashed potatoes because it's got to be creamy, it's got to be soft, it's got to be fluffy. But sometimes they won't peel it because they're lazy.
Well, that's just crazy, and they should not be allowed to do that. No one should be able to ever eat those mashed potatoes. They should boycott them and say these are disgusting. No one eats skin on mashed potatoes. You want to make French fries for Thanksgiving with mashed potato with skin on them? Sure, go right ahead. Bake them till your heart's content, but not mashed potatoes. I draw the line.
Listen, I can't disagree with that. Like
Yeah.
I don't do skin on either. Like I'm just making sure there's no controversy around here.
No.
You
And
know,
I mean, for me, because I just don't like it. Pumpkin pie would never be on my list. I hate.
Whoa,
I
really?
I don't like anything pumpkin related. Anything. I don't. No.
I love me some pumpkin pie
No.
with like a whipped cream on it.
No.
It's the
A la
best.
mode.
Pecan
Oh,
pie is my
man.
pecan pie is my.
I'm not a fan of
And-
pecans.
Like he said, for like when his number two was like the pie, right? The apple pie. Like in my family, my aunt's apple pie was like the dessert. Like everyone had. I mean, I'm not a big fruit pie person, but the apple pie that my aunt made
Love
was like
apple pie.
was the pie that everyone had to have at Thanksgiving for dessert at Thanksgiving. Like everyone wanted that, and we had these things called grandma cookies, and they were hard as a rock. They basically crack your teeth. You had to like dip them in, like people would like dip them in their coffee to soften them up and then eat them. But
So
that was the
awesome.
point. That was like the point of them. Apparently, I didn't. They were like, yeah, we called them grandma cookies.
An underrated pie, by the way, to make for Thanksgiving is a blueberry and goat cheese pie. It is
Yeah,
you have to try it.
no.
You
I
have
don't like
to
goat
try
cheese
it.
in general. Why would I eat?
No, I'm telling you, you got to
Is
give
it
it
a
a
Greek
try.
thing?
It's not a Greek thing. I saw it on Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives one time.
Stuffing, mashed potatoes would be one on my list. Stuffing would probably be number 2 or 3. I mean, I don't know. Turkey. I love turkey. I'm a big turkey fan. So I might even put the turkey up higher. It's
Mm.
But my 1 through 5 would really just be like a 1 A B C D E, really, because they're all interchangeable in my book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Those
get it.
5.
I'm actually not making turkey this year.
No.
I'm making Cornish hens.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah, a little different, something
Look at
different.
you.
Won't dry
Fancy.
out, although my turkey last year was phenomenal.
I
It
can't.
was
I
not
can't.
dry,
I
it
would
was
be.
great.
I would boycott. I would literally, if I was going to Thanksgiving dinner and they were like, "We're not having turkey," I just wouldn't go. I'd be like, "Sorry, I'm not coming." Like
What if
I
you
can't
do
be.
prime rib or something?
I can't be at a Thanksgiving that doesn't have turkey. I just can't. It's tradition. It's got to like you don't even have to make a big turkey. Buy the smallest turkey you can at that point. If you don't want to make a turkey, fine. Just buy the smallest one possible and just make that one.
I mean,
That's-
it's fair. If you're having people over, you got to have a turkey, right? You can have some
yeah.
other stuff too.
If it's just like you and like your immediate family, fine. Like
Well, I mean,
if you don't want to do that, that's fine. You know what I mean? But if you're having like if you're hosting
Oh,
you're
yeah.
hosting
I
Thanksgiving,
agree.
you have to have a turkey. Like that's mandatory. And like
Yeah.
I said, if you want to make like other types of meat, then you just buy a small turkey. You don't buy a large
Right,
one. You know what I
right.
mean? And that's it.
It's just me and Sarah this year. So
No,
we're doing the
so-
Cornish hens, we're doing some mashed potatoes, we're doing some biscuits.
Biscuits.
And then I think we might make some like we have pie, and we're gonna probably do what do you call it? Some like roasted Brussels sprouts. I think is what we'll do this year instead. So yeah,
Delicious.
for Thanksgiving, we got a traditional Thanksgiving going on, or
Yeah, I'm going to my sister's. It's going to be very small this year. Normally, we have a very large Thanksgiving, but this year it's going to be very small. It's literally just going to be my family. That's it. Like my immediate family and my mother-in-law. And that's it.
Okay.
So
Yep, me and Allie and the cats. That's our
Nice.
Thanksgiving. So there you go. Got a little
Cornish
turkey.
hens? No turkey. All right.
Turkey breast. We're just doing the turkey
Hey,
breast.
yeah,
okay.
and
It's all
But
you
when
need.
it's only two of you,
that's
you know,
all.
you don't need then that's when you can get away without buying the big turkey
That's
or
true.
the small turkey, and
Agreed.
you can go with like the turkey breast. Like in during COVID, we didn't have a Thanksgiving dinner, right? Like a family Thanksgiving dinner, right?
Mhm.
So that's what I bought. I bought a turkey breast, you know, and we made that because I'm not cooking a turkey. First of all, it was just going to be, my kids don't even
Yeah.
really eat turkey. Like,
Yeah,
you know, and that was a long time ago. So, you know, it was just merely me and Leah, and I was like, turkey breast. Yes. Perfect.
We're gonna do some mashed, like a sweet potato casserole, like a little
Okay.
sweet potato, brown
With
sugar in
marshmallows
there.
on the top?
No, no
Marshmallows?
marshmallows.
No marshmallow. You can't. No, you can't do the
No.
marshmallows. No, get out of here.
Oh, you're
Marshmallows
crazy.
are
Do you put
nasty. No,
cherries
get outta
in
here.
it?
That
No.
goes.
You put
Brown
maraschino cherries in
sugar.
it?
Put some pecans on top. That's it. Crumbled pecans.
My mom always puts the
Good
maraschino
stuff.
cherries in also.
Hmm.
Like a few, not like
Gotcha.
tons of them, like just like 3 or 4, like on
Keep
top.
it
you know?
interesting.
No.
Yeah.
If you're coming to my house with what do you call it? Marshmallows,
Sweet potatoes.
It may as well be like Jello salad or with all that out.
You don't like that? You don't like marshmallows
I don't do marshmallows
at all?
I'll roast them on a fire in the summertime, but I'm not going to put them in a potato.
I'm not a sweet
Fair
potato
enough.
person, but my family is big on the marshmallows on top of the sweet potato pie. That's a big
To each their
traditional
own.
dish in my family.
And with the turkey and the stuffing and the mashed potatoes, it's all got to be drowned in the gravy.
Of course.
You got to have a good
I mean,
gravy.
Gotta have a good
You gotta
gravy.
have the good gravy.
Yep.
That's a top
You gotta be able,
five, man.
you gotta be able to soak it up with bread.
Yeah.
Hawaiian rolls.
And Hawaiian rolls. Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
My
That's a
daughter
good-
just got into Hawaiian
Yeah.
rolls. She's like, she loves them. She just
love
got it. She just like, I don't know where because I've never really bought them. I don't know where she had them for the first time. And every time she's like, can we get the Hawaiian rolls? Can we get these rolls? Can we get these rolls? I'm like, oh boy, you're like a fiend all of a sudden.
All right. I think that'll do it for this Thanksgiving week episode of the Throwing Bagels podcast. We do want to thank you. First of all, we're thankful that you're listening. So we
Very
really
much so.
appreciate that.
Yes.
Yes. And
Especially the bots.
especially the bots. The bots in China. They're big.
Yes.
We're big in China.
We're
if you
big.
Believe that. Yeah.
The bots in China
Appreciate
love us.
that. Yeah.
So thanks again to David Crider for joining us, and Jason, Chris, have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Throwingbagels.com is our website. Throwingbagelspodcast@gmail.com is our email. Peace.
Bye.